Welcome back here to the part 6. So today we're going to continue working in our process. In the 5th part we stopped here in the set name activity. We need to move here to the end, so to finish our process. So far we have the launch employee process. We set it the two ways, by creating a record or by creating a record or by creating or by launching the process. Okay, so right now we need to close that activity in order to end the process. So that's exactly what we're going to do here. So in order to close this, we can use the close activity that we have under the activity that we want to close. So in order to do this, let's create a server action. So let's say close set name activity. So let's drag and drop the activity. And when we do this, we have an activity ID that we need to pass it, and it is mandatory. Why we have this? Because it means that in order to close the activity, we need to give him the activity ID. Okay, so in order to get correctly the activity ID, we need to use the activities. And if we see everything that we have here in the data, we have every activity for every processes, as you can see. But we do not want this. We want the exactly one in order to close the correct one. Okay, so we need to filter by the process. If you go back here in the service center, we have the 937. That's the one. Let's say that we could end or close the activity. So let's filter by the process. Here we need to create a process ID, because we need to give information to inside the action. And now we can see the values. We can preview the values, which is right now the 937. Okay, so as you can see, we have the set name, the start, the activity ID, created, closed. In this case, we did not close the set name. That's what we want to do. And we have more columns in order to make sure what are the data for the activity. So in order to close this part, this fetch, we need to guarantee that we have the most recent activity. So let's do a sort. We can grab the created, and we need to set as descending. Why? Because if we have sorted by the created, we're going to make sure that we're going to close the correct activity, the most recent one. Okay, so also we only need one activity, so we can change the max records here to 1. We don't need to grab every activity for that process. This is performance. You need to do this. And the activity now, we can grab the one that we have from here, from the aggregate. So in here, we have our action. That's everything that we need to do. Okay, so let's go back here in the screen. And right now, let's close. So let me just hide this one, because I'm not going to use this one here. Okay. And let me create a new button. Oh. In here, which is going to say close set name activity. So we're going to use a new action. Let's grab the one that we have here. And right now we need to set the process ID. Need to give him the process ID. So in this case, after we create the process, let's have as output. Because if we have as output, we can set a local variable and have the value on the screen level. So let's create local variable here, naming process ID. And this action, it's not yet sending as output. So you need to do as well. So let's create this. Let's change to output parameter. And let's assign in order to assign the output parameter. So I'm going to say that the output parameter, it will be equal to the launch process, a process identifier from the launch employee process. Okay. And here it will be, I don't know, 940, 945, it depends. Okay, so in the close, now we have a way to have the value here. We need to do as well an assign, but this time I'm going to assign the local variable, and we have the process ID as well output from the server action. And right now we have everything. So now we have the process ID, which will have a value, and we can also set an if here. Remember, this is just demo purposes, so this is not applicable in the real application. You're going to have different screens, you're going to have different blocks. This is just to show you how process works, okay? But in the real-time project application, you're going to have different things, but the the most important ones, how process works, that's what I'm showing you, okay? So please distinguish this. It's just demo. It's just fast in order to show you this just by using two buttons. But in real-time application, this is not applicable. Okay, you need to have different screens. You need to fill a form. You need to have lists, tables, and so on. This is just a fast demo in order to show you how this works. Okay. So in here we can set, we just need to show this if the process ID, it is different. Where is the difference? So let me use this. Yeah, is different than null identifier. Okay. So when we create the process and we have the process ID, we're going to see this button. Okay. Also, let me introduce you a new thing here. So inside the launch employee process, what happens sometimes is that the process runs asynchronously. This happens every time, okay? But in sometimes this takes some time, okay? It depends on the server, it depends on your environment, it depends in several things. It depends on other processes that are running. So one way to make this quicker, you can use the commit transaction. I think it is in the system. I think it is here. I'm not sure. Okay. So you can use the commit. So you can use this one, the commit transaction. Okay, to make these things go faster. Okay. So in this case, I'm going to use the commit transaction. This is just to give you more information. That's what we can do. So I'm going to launch the process and I'm going to commit transaction. So what we'll do, the transaction that he has synchronously, he will run faster. Okay. So in here we have, I think we have everything. So we're going to launch a process, and after we're going to close it. So let's publish. Okay, so let's go back to our application. I'm going to refresh. So as we can see, we just have the launch employee process. And after that, we're going to have the other button in order to close it. So let's do that. So we are launching the process, and here we need to close the set activity. But before, let's go back here and make sure that it is created. Okay, so we have the 940. So it is in the set name. And now let's close this. I forgot to change. Oh no, yeah, I forgot I did not add any feedback message here, but this will work. Just a matter that we can check after that on the service center. So let's close the set name activity, and let's go back here and let me refresh. Okay, as you can see, we closed the activity, and now we are on the end. So we finished the process. We can see that it was finished here. So it took like 41 seconds. That's weird. Ah, okay, yeah, no, no, no. This makes sense. This makes sense. So when it was started and when it was ended or closed, it was 41 seconds. So it was active 41 seconds. That's what this means. Okay. So we end up doing this. So we started, we have an activity, and we close the process. But this has so much more, and you can learn much more in this. But for this video, that's everything. Please subscribe and don't lose any of this video if you are dealing with OutSystems, if you are working with BPT. I'm going to cover everything that you need to know in OutSystems. Okay, please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.